Hello, Hosk here. In this video we're going to look at auditing. This is functionality brought in CRM 2011. It's useful to know for people who just want to use CRM to make sure they're auditing the fields and the entities and see what users are doing and changing, and also people studying for the MB2 703 CRM 2013 Customization and Configuration exam. It's one of the fairly straightforward features, and it works very well. But in CRM4, you had to do this kind of using a plugin, auditing plugin, which kind of worked quite well, but it wasn't quite as configurable as the functionality that Microsoft have put in, and that's pretty good. Auditing is set at various levels. You have a kind of global setting where you turn auditing on or off, and then you have entity level, so you can turn each entity to be audited or not, and then once you've turned an entity on, and then you can actually choose which fields are audited. So you have a lot of flexibility, and they kind of capture the new and the old value. And it's all fairly straightforward. So let's crack on into CRM. To find auditing, you go to Settings, and then Auditing. Nice use here. One of my favorite features is this menu is very tricky. If you try and use this, it keeps disappearing, but if you use the scrolly wheel on your mouse, you can move about. That is good stuff. Right, so settings, auditing, it takes you there. Here are your options. You've got global auditing settings, audit summary view, entity field audit settings, and audit management logs. So as I was saying earlier, your global settings will start there. This basically takes you to your system settings view. It's kind of a shortcut, and here you can click start auditing. You can turn it on or off. If you turn it off after you've had it on for a bit, it doesn't sort of guarantee to keep all the data. And you really want, if you do want to be auditing, you want to turn it on as soon as possible. Otherwise, it may be a little bit, some of the data might not be all there. Okay, so you turn it on. You've got auditing user access. Basically, this tells you, keeps a record of when people logged on, what they were doing. And here you've got, these are kind of shortcuts really. If you turn on common entities, it turns on account, contact, goal, product. But to be honest, I don't know if you really want all these turned on. I mean, goal metrics, products. I mean, you have to. I mean, really, you only want to be auditing the things you're interested in, and so because it does create an extra table, and it creates records in there every time you update anything. So it has a little bit of an overhead. But these are like shortcuts. So if you click on this one, you've got order, quote, opportunity, all the kind of sales stuff, marketing, campaign, and then customer is basically sort of help desk type stuff, case, contract, service. So these are shortcuts to turn auditing on for a group of stuff. So go in here, turn your auditing on, first place. And then you can also turn auditing on. So if you don't want to use your common kind of turn on all of that auditing for all those entities, you go into common, and then you can go to each entity, and you'll see here, if you go down, there's an auditing button, and you can click this on. And when you do this, it turns on auditing for all the fields by default. So if there are ones you don't want to be audited, you need to go in and kind of adjust those. Auditing is you can turn it on and off without any problem. It's not like any of the crosses like queues. Once you turn queues on, you can't ever remove it, and activities and connections, etc. So it is a lot more flexible than that. So once you've turned it on, you need to save it, as it's reminding me there. And then you go to fields. So I've turned on auditing for account, and then you'll see here there's a little audit status, and by default it turns them all on. Now if there were particular ones you didn't want to audit, say you might not want to audit this one, so you just go in and disable it. Thanks. And of course, which I learned recently, you can bulk edit fields, which, so if you didn't want any of the address to stuff, you beast, I press shift and press the down button and it selects them all as if you were like copying something. So that's quite a good way to select a lot of fields. Okay, so that's all the ones on that page. So if you can select a bunch of fields, press edit, and then you can kind of edit them in bulk, which will save you a bit of time. There are some fields you can't turn auditing on, like created on, modified by, and you'll see it here, it'll say not applicable. So there are some which you just can't turn auditing on, and these are GUIDs and things. That's like a default CRM field. That's never going to change anyway, so it's pretty irrelevant that you turn that on. Modified on, to be honest, that will be shown in the audit log, so they make sense, the ones they've turned off really. So here you can see that these ones are audited, these ones are disabled. So once you've gone and made your changes, save and publish, and now auditing should be up and running. And you better see what has been audited by going to this one place here. This shows you all of so here, in fact, it's turned on the fact that I've turned on auditing for account. This will kind of gives you a big long list of things, and you can filter by users and stuff like that. I don't often use that view, but also the auditing is shown on each entity itself, which I find this is where I usually would use it, because what happens is that I'm investigating some kind of problem that's occurred, and you want to see the history of the changes of a record, and so you go, it's not in the command bar, it's on this one, I don't know, I can't remember what that one's actually called, and there's an audit history. So even here it's shown my auditing changes. So we should better make some changes, and it should write these back. If the auditing has kicked on. So here we go, look, we can see I did an update, I changed these values, they were all blank, and now they have some values. It's not. And so also if you change them, so we'll save those again. We'll go to more audit history, and so you can also, it's very useful. It shows it was an update, it's who by, the time and the date, and it's got the old value and then the new value. So it does exactly what you want in your auditing. Right, so that's a quick rundown really. Actually, if we go back to the general settings, so here is your overview of all your auditing changes. So there's my one update and then my second update, and you can click on that and it will show you the changes in a sort of different view. I don't use this one as much, it just seems a bit more not as intuitive to find the information you want. And audit logs, basically I think these are set to you can get the logs, you can delete them after a while if you don't need them. They get archived or partitioned after 3 months, I think, but obviously if you've got a lot, if they're getting big, and especially on CRM Online, I guess, these will be taking up space, so where space is a precious commodity, you may want to go in and delete old audit logs which you perhaps don't need anymore, depending on your auditing needs and requirements. Okay, so that is auditing in general. A new few key features perhaps. Audit logs are partitioned every 3 months and you can delete them in the audit managing screen. We've just seen that. You have to have a view audit history privilege. When you turn on auditing for an entity, all the fields are enabled by default and you have to go and deselect the ones and turn auditing off for those, disable the auditing for those. If auditing goes down in a kind of not tree structure but organizational level first, if that's not on, doesn't matter the settings below that, there will be no auditing. And then entity level, if that's not on, you won't be having any fields, so you need the privileges, you need to sort of tick the level above to get auditing. I've had this page from Microsoft, is very good. It just shows you kind of what tables are audited and what privileges, etc. Shows you all the details about those. And data that can be audited. So you've got create, update and delete, they're audited. Changes to shared privileges of records, that's another useful one. Many-to-many association or disassociation of records. Changes to security roles will be audited. That's a useful one perhaps to see the changes in the security role and perhaps now why you can't see, or users can't see the things they need to. Auditing changes at entity, attribute, organizational, yeah, we've gone through that, and you can delete the audit logs. Right, okay, so that's auditing. Please have a look at some of my other videos, especially if you're studying for the MB 2703. There's a bunch of other videos. In fact, there's a playlist. Have a look at that. There's a lot on solutions, which I have a feeling will be quite a lot of questions in the exam. But auditing will also be in the exam, so make sure you study for that.